What's up, everybody? My name is Sharkhead and welcome back to Lawbreakers. This is going to be a gunslinger newbie guide showing off the most basic of basic moves. And this is not going to be a definitive guide. There's always going to be room for improvement, as I am a human being and I can always improve my skills, as well as you. So this is what I know so far. Let's get started. So primarily, the Gunslinger is a 1v1ing class, meaning one of his greatest strengths is singling out enemies on the other team and picking them off so that the other team has a hard time operating optimally. He's meant to be a close to mid-range fighter, and I'll be introducing you to his two pistols, Alpha and Omega. So Alpha is the pistol on his left side, Omega is the one on his right. They both can operate independently of each other. Alpha is a burst fire pistol that does relatively decent damage at close to mid-range, but the projectiles it fires are pretty slow, so I wouldn't recommend using them at long range. However, here's the thing about Alpha. Its projectiles have no damage drop-off and no spread, which means if someone in the distance is just standing still or not moving that fast, you can probably still pick them off. The Omega pistol, on the other hand, is a completely different beast because unlike the Alpha pistol with burst fire, it does only single shots. However, if you charge your shots, you can do even more damage. So to fire charged shots, what you do is you hold onto the fire button of the Omega pistol, which means that a little laser will pop out of the business end of the Omega pistol and point toward wherever that bullet's gonna go next. Train that laser on whatever target you want to hit, and then let go of the firing button to fire that charged shot. And the longer you hold onto that shot, the more damage it's gonna do. So if you want to be a good gunslinger, you better learn how to hold your left clicks often. Of course, if you end up in a really close quarter situation, don't be afraid to both left and right click to use both guns simultaneously. This way you can maximize your damage output and make anyone who gets too close to you feel very sorry for doing so. Next up, we'll be talking about warping. So warping is the gunslinger's movement ability, which allows you to dash side to side, forwards and backwards, and also upwards, and even if you're facing downwards, you can also dash backwards to go upwards. So in terms of just movement, he's a lot more versatile than a certain other character in a certain other game. I wonder what I'm talking about. And not only that, but he can also double jump, which also uses one of his warps. So in total, he has 3 warp movements, which recharge over the course of 4 seconds, I believe. So every 4 seconds, he gains a new charge on his warp. You have to use them very carefully. If you're out of warps, then you can't move as quickly as you would want to, and you might get caught out. So you have to use them in a smart way. You can use these warps to get behind enemies, to get over certain objects, or to just simply dodge rockets, which is pretty useful, I would say. Also, if you click to fire your guns while doing a warp, you will end up firing both your guns coming out of that warp. It requires no other action from you other than warping while clicking your left mouse button. And it's really helpful for doing a lot of free damage on an enemy. So let's say you want to get real close to someone, you can just dash into someone and then fire both your guns point blank at their face, and you will do a ton of damage. Now, before we move on, I just want to clarify that within this context, when I said dash, I also meant warp, just so nobody's confused. The Gunslinger also has a throwable tool called the tack knife, which upon contact can kill enemies, especially if it's a headshot. It'll have a much higher chance of severely wounding or killing them. But if you miss, you can still use it to ping where an enemy's location is, even through solid objects. It doesn't just show the last known location of the enemy, it actually shows where they're moving and who they are. So in actuality, the Gunslinger may be the best class for checking out a room to make sure that it's not booby-trapped or that no one is lying in wait for your team to pile in and then get dumped on. So that will be one very useful way to use your Gunslinger's tack knife on offense. Now on defense, let's say your team has captured a battery and has brought it back to their base and they're waiting for it to charge up completely for the point. You could use your tack knife to throw at, let's say you're in Promenade, you could throw at a doorway and then make sure that no one's outside just about to come in. And if they are, you'll be ready for them because you'll see them ahead of time. The tack knife also has a bit of an arc to it when you throw it, so at longer ranges, it's going to be a little harder to directly hit with, but at close range, it should be much easier. And finally, we have the Gunslinger's ultimate, called Equalizer. And what you do is, upon pressing Q, you charge up your guns for about 2 seconds straight. Your character literally looks at his guns as they transform into supercharged versions of Alpha and Omega. Then you point them at the center of your screen, and you fire a constant stream of blue lasers for about the next 4 seconds. These are devastatingly effective, and they do so much damage. And then after you're done, you put them back to their normal state. Now remember this, most of your abilities are going to be disabled while you're in the middle of your ultimate, except for your warp. So you can actually warp around while using it and confuse your enemy while still getting a lot of damage off. I'd say the absolute best location to use this ultimate in would be in a closed-in area where it's very hard for a bunch of grouped up enemies to escape. But if you're not going for multi-kills, you can always single out specific enemies and make sure they go down within a very short amount of time with this ultimate. Anyway, that'll be it for this very basic guide. Its purpose was to help you get started off on the right track and get good really quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful. And if you did, hit that like button, subscribe button, bell button, and make sure you follow me on social media on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks for watching, rock steady, and stay classy.